Welcome to a narrated discovery, the channel where we wander slowly, listen deeply, and explore the world's hidden beauty, one country at a time. Today, we find ourselves in Monaco, a sovereign city-state nestled between the mountains and the Mediterranean, on the sunlit southern coast of France. Covering just over 2 square kilometers, Monaco is the world's second smallest country, home to around 39,000 residents, one of the densest populations on Earth. Most are Catholic, and the rhythms of old Europe and the cosmopolitan world pulse together here, where French, Italian, English, and Monegasque voices mingle. Wealth, tradition, and the shimmering blue sea shape daily life. But beneath the glitz, Monaco is a living, breathing community, with old roots and a gentle, surprising soul. Take a slow breath and join us as we step behind the facades, through winding stone alleys, gardens in bloom, secret chapels, and the gentle hush of Mediterranean mornings. Imagine yourself arriving at dawn in the old quarter, Monaco Ville, perched atop the ancient rock. The sky is painted with the first hints of pink and gold. Below, the harbors shimmer, filled with yachts and fishing boats. Above, the narrow streets are just stirring. You walk through quiet lanes, paved with worn stone, past the prince's palace silhouetted against the brightening sky, past pastel houses with wooden shutters and tiny wrought iron balconies draped in geraniums. The air is soft with the scent of salt and bougainvillea. You pause at a bakery, greeted by bonjour and the golden warmth of fresh croissant and pain au chocolat. You sit on a bench in the Place du Palais, sipping a strong coffee as the city slowly wakes. Delivery men with baskets of vegetables, children skipping to school, old men playing pétanque beneath plane trees. As the sun climbs, the town stirs with color and sound. A flower market spills into the streets, buckets overflowing with lilies, roses, and blue agapanthus. The voices of vendors rise and fall in a gentle mix of French, Italian, and Monegasque. You wander the stalls, tasting slices of soca, chickpea pancake, crisp and warm, and inhaling the bright sweetness of ripe apricots. You descend the ramparts, following winding stairs down to the harbor. Boats rock softly in the morning swell. The scent of diesel and brine drifts across the quay. Fishermen clean their catch, tossing scraps to waiting gulls. A café terrace is filled with the low murmur of conversation, espresso cups clinking, newspapers rustling in the breeze. You stroll along the waterfront, past yachts gleaming in the sunlight, past gardens bursting with jasmine and lemon trees, the sea glinting between columns of palm. At the edge of the port, you pause to watch a group of children practicing sailing, their small boats bright as candy in the turquoise bay. Climbing back toward the old town, you pass the cathedral of Our Lady Immaculate, its white stones glowing in the sun. Inside, the hush is deep, the air cool and fragrant with incense. You light a candle in memory of old prayers and sit quietly beneath the rose window, listening to the echo of footsteps and the gentle call of a hidden choir. You leave the cathedral and step into the gentle bustle of the Place Saint-Nicolas, where cafés spill onto the square and the clink of glasses mingles with laughter. Elderly men play cards beneath striped awnings, and women buy bread from the boulangerie, exchanging news with easy grace. You pause to taste a barbagion, a savory pastry stuffed with chard and cheese, crisp and melting on your tongue. The midday sun warms the limestone walls. You follow narrow alleys to a tiny chapel tucked between tall houses, its blue door open to the sound of quiet singing. Inside, the light falls in golden bands, illuminating painted saints and vases of wildflowers. You sit for a moment in the hush, feeling the calm that settles over this busy city in sacred spaces. Afterwards, you walk to the Saint-Martin Gardens, a ribbon of green running along the clifftop above the sea. Pine and cypress cast cool shadows on winding paths. Oleander and lavender spill over stone borders. Butterflies hover among the blooms, and the sound of distant surf blends with birdsong. Benches offer places to pause, to read, to watch the glint of sailboats on the horizon. Lunch is simple and bright. Salade niçoise with tomatoes, eggs, and anchovies, eaten at a sunlit terrace overlooking the old port. Locals linger over their wine, laughter and music drifting in the air. You strike up conversation with a waiter who tells you stories of childhood, of carnival, of the Grand Prix, when the city becomes a thunder of engines and cheers. In the afternoon, you stroll toward Monte Carlo, Monaco's most famous quarter. The streets here are wide and clean, lined with glossy boutiques, shaded arcades, and gleaming cars. At the heart of it all rises the Casino de Monte Carlo, its white towers and gilded dome shining in the sun, palm trees reflected in polished marble. You watch the spectacle. Visitors posing on the grand steps. Elegant couples drifting in and out of the casino. The swirl of fortunes made and lost beneath chandeliers. But beyond the glitter, you sense the old bones of the city. Stone steps, hidden stairways, gardens full of memory. You wander into the Japanese garden, a quiet sanctuary of bamboo, koi ponds, and stepping stones. Water trickles between mossy rocks. Dragonflies hover above the lilies. Here, the world slows. The heartbeat of Monaco grown, gentle, and still. As the afternoon heat softens, you make your way down to Larvato Beach. Children build castles in the sand. Teenagers play volleyball. Families gather beneath striped umbrellas. The Mediterranean rolls in slow and blue, warm as silk. You wade into the water, the salt and sun loosening every knot in your body. The horizon, wide and cloudless. By evening, the city glows with 1,000 lights. The harbor is alive with music and the scent of grilled fish. The promenade busy with strolling couples, laughter, and the clink of glasses. You join a table on a terrace overlooking the sea. Fougasse, olive bread, platters of grilled vegetables, and a bottle of cold rosé shared among friends. A violinist plays nearby, his music swirling through the warm air. Night in Monaco is both glittering and quiet. The old town settles into hush, the palace lit softly against the dark. You wander the lanes one last time, your steps echoing on ancient stone, the sea murmuring far below. You wake to the soft light of a Mediterranean morning, the sound of gulls echoing from the cliffs. Breakfast is slow and fragrant. Fresh baguette, honey from Provençal hills, strawberries and sweet butter, eaten on a balcony with a view of the harbor. Below, the city stirs. Market stalls are set up, mopeds hum along the boulevards, and the sun glints off church spires and red tile roofs. You wander to the Condamine Market, a covered hall where vendors arrange mountains of peaches, tomatoes, artichokes, and wild mushrooms. Stalls overflow with cheeses, olives, and salted anchovies. The air is thick with the scent of herbs and coffee. Locals fill their baskets for the day, pausing to gossip and taste slices of ripe melon or a sliver of tart pissaladière. You stop for a second breakfast. Café au lait and pain bagnat, bread stuffed with tuna, vegetables, and eggs. At a neighboring table, a fisherman describes the changing tides, how the sea glitters silver some mornings and turns to sapphire by afternoon. There is pride in every word, a quiet love for the rhythms of a place both old and new. Late in the morning, you climb the Rampe Major to the palace again, watching guards in white uniforms march on the sun-washed square. The daily changing of the guard draws a gentle crowd, cameras clicking, children on tiptoe. From the palace walls you see Monaco stretched below, a patchwork of roofs, green gardens, and the eternal blue of the sea. You visit the Oceanographic Museum, its grand limestone facade rising above the cliffs. Inside, the hush of water and the shimmer of fish create a world apart. Children press their faces to the glass, amazed by jellyfish drifting like moons, by the ripple of eels, by the rainbow flash of coral reefs. You linger, letting the slow pulse of the aquarium still your thoughts. Afternoon brings you to Fontvieille, Monaco's youngest district, built on land reclaimed from the sea. Here, quiet parks bloom with roses and palms, boats bob in a small sheltered harbor. You wander the Princess Grace Rose Garden, its paths winding among thousands of fragrant blossoms. Plaques tell stories of the principality's royal family, of Grace Kelly's gentle spirit and enduring legacy. You pause at a shaded bench and watch an elderly couple play chess, their hands moving slowly over the board. The moment is timeless, the hush of the garden broken only by birdsong and the distant hum of city life. Children chase pigeons, their laughter ringing under the palm trees. As the light softens, you walk the sculpture trail, admiring works by Botero, Arman, and many others. Art rising among oleander, cypress, and the singing of cicadas. Monaco is a city of surprises. A lemon tree heavy with fruit beside a parking garage. A narrow street blooming with bougainvillea and jasmine. A quiet chapel tucked between tall, modern buildings. Dinner is served in a tiny bistro near the port. Petit farci, vegetables stuffed with herbs and rice, grilled dorade from the bay, a glass of sharp white wine. The meal is simple, the conversation easy, the evening air perfumed with thyme and the sea. Night falls slow and warm. You climb to the heights of Jardin Exotique, where succulents and agave frame a view across the principality. The city a jewel box of lights, the sea dark and endless beyond. On your final days in Monaco, you rise before dawn to watch the city wake from above. The hills blush pink with morning light, and the harbor glows gold as the first boats set out to sea. You walk quiet paths among olive and carob trees, the air scented with rosemary and salt. The city feels both impossibly grand and deeply human. A place where lives unfold behind shutters, where neighbors greet each other in the street, where old traditions meet the pulse of the modern world. You pause in Saint-Devote Chapel, the city's spiritual heart. The small church stands at the base of a deep ravine, shaded by cliffs and flowering vines. Candles flicker on the altar, and the hush is full of memory. Here, brides leave their bouquets. Here, sailors pray for safe return. Here, the old stories are told anew each year at the Feast of Saint Devota. You sit in the cool, stone silence, listening to the city's soft heartbeat. Outside, you follow winding alleys to a viewpoint above the sea. Monaco spreads out beneath you, the rock, the palace, the gardens, the boats, the scatter of rooftops climbing up the hillside. The world feels wide and close at once. The Mediterranean breeze alive with promise. The afternoon draws you through the city's many layers. Luxury boutiques with velvet ropes, quiet bookshops, an old-school tailor's studio, a bakery filled with sweet barquettes and lemon tartlets. At every turn, there is something new. A statue in a pocket park, a mural of dolphins, a tiny café tucked beneath ivy. You wander slowly, savoring the sense of discovery. Fougasse, tapenade, and platters of fruit. Wine is poured, toasts are made, and the sun sinks slowly behind the hills. Conversation drifts from racing cars to family stories, from the latest gossip to old legends of princes and pirates. Laughter rises, glasses clink, and for a moment, the world feels small and full of joy. After dinner, you walk alone through the old town, letting each stone and shadow settle into memory. The palace stands lit and silent. The gardens shimmer in moonlight. The air is alive with the sound of water on the rocks far below. As our narrated discovery of Monaco comes to a close, we hope this journey brought you a sense of stillness, wonder, and gentle joy. If you enjoyed exploring with us, please consider subscribing for more poetic journeys to the world's hidden places. Leave a comment if you have thoughts, suggestions, or a country you'd love us to visit next. And if this brought you a moment of calm, a like would mean the world. Thank you for exploring gently with us. Until next time.